All right, everyone, thank you for joining me on this episode of Payroll Expert Reads. And today we are covering the general instructions for the Form 940. What is the purpose of the form and who must file the form? All right, so we're just going to ignore my cat and I'm going to share my screen. All right, so these instructions give you some background information about Form 940. They tell you who must file the form, how to fill it out line by line, and when and where to file it. Use Form 940 to report your annual Federal Unemployment Tax Act tax, or FUTA. Together with state unemployment tax systems, the FUTA tax provides funds for paying unemployment compensation to workers who have lost their jobs. Most employers pay both a federal and a state unemployment tax. Only employers pay FUTA tax. Don't collect or deduct FUTA tax from your employee wages. The FUTA tax applies to the first $7,000 you pay to each employee during a calendar year, after subtracting any payments exempt from FUTA tax. Who must file Form 940? Except as noted below, if you answer yes to either one of these questions, you must file a Form 940. Did you pay wages of $1,500 or more to employees in any calendar quarter during 2020 or 2021? Did you have one or more employees for at least some part of a day in any 20 or more different weeks in 2020 or 20 or more different weeks in 2021? Count all full-time, part-time, and temporary employees. However, if your business is a partnership, don't count its partners. If your business was sold or transferred during the year, each employer who answered yes to at least one question above must file Form 940. However, don't include any wages paid by the predecessor employer on your Form 940 unless you're a successor employer. For details, see successor employer under type of return later. If you are not liable for FUTA tax for 2020 because you made no payments to employees in 2021, check box C in the upper right corner of the form, then go to Part 7, sign the form, and file it with the IRS. If you won't be liable for filing Form 940 in the future because your business has closed or because you stopped paying wages, check box D in the top right corner of the form. For more information, see final business closed or stop paying wages under type of return later. So there's going to be more coming up on who must file and some of the requirements for filing, but I want to just hit on the big point. You have to have had employees in 20 or more different weeks in 2020 or 20 or more different weeks in 2021 in order to be required to file a Form 940 for 2021. And if the business was sold or transferred during the year, each of the employers, so the previous owner and the current owner, would both have to answer these questions to see if you would need to file a form. And each is responsible for their own unless the tax ID number didn't change. So then you would put all of the wages on one form. So we're going to come back later with, oh wait, we're still talking about who must file. Never mind. I guess my cat is distracting me today because we are now going to talk about for employers of household employees. If you're a household employer, you must file FUTA tax on wages that you paid to your household employees only If you paid cash wages of $1,000 or more in any calendar quarter in 2020 or 2021, a household employee performs household work in a private home, a local college club, or local chapter of a college fraternity or sorority. Generally, employers of household employees must file a Schedule H on their Form 1040 instead of a Form 940. However, if you have employees in addition to household employees, you can choose to include FUTA taxes for your household employees on Form 940 instead of filing Schedule H 1040. If you choose to include household employees on your Form 940, you must also file Form 941, Employer's Quarterly Federal Tax Return, Form 943, Employer's Annual Federal Tax Return for Agricultural Workers, or Form 944, Employer's Annual Federal Tax Return to report Social Security, Medicare, or any other, or any, I have no idea what just happened, but it scared the cat and it made everything all wobbly for us. To report Social Security, Medicare, and any withheld federal income tax for your household employees, see Pub 926 for more information. For agricultural workers, file Form 940 if you answered yes to either of these questions. Did you pay cash wages of $20,000 or more to farm workers during any calendar quarter in 2020 or 2021? Did you employ 10 or more farm workers during some part of the day, whether or not at the same time, during any 20 or more different weeks in 2020 or 20 or more different weeks in 2021? Count wages that you paid to aliens who were admitted to the United States on temporary basis to perform farm work. Those are workers with an H-2A visa. However, wages paid to H-2A visa workers are not subject to FUTA tax. See publication 51 for more information. For Indian tribal governments, services rendered by employees of federally recognized Indian tribal government employer, including any subdivision, subsidiary, or business enterprise wholly owned by the tribe, are exempt from FUTA tax, and no Form 940 is required. However, the tribe must have participated in the state unemployment system for the full year to be in compliance with applicable state unemployment law. For more information, see Section 3309D. For tax-exempt organizations, religious, educational, scientific, charitable, and other organizations described in Section 501c3 are and exempt from tax under Section 501A are not subject to FUTA tax and do not have to file a Form 940. I want to pause on this for a second because I see a lot of 940s being filed for nonprofit groups with all the different work that we do. And a lot of times they don't know that they don't need to be filing if they're a 501c3 in good standing and are tax exempt under 501a, they don't have to pay FUTA tax, but a lot of them do because they rely a lot on their payroll software. And the payroll software, you can turn it off. I know I've seen this with some where it's turned off at one, it gets turned off every year, but then somehow magically on January 1st, it gets turned on again. And so just if you are with a nonprofit, it's a 501c3 and exempt from tax under 501a, make sure you double check that you're not paying or FUTA tax or filing a FUTA return. For state and local government employers, services rendered by employees of a state or political subdivision or instrumentality of the state are exempt from FUTA tax, and no Form 940 is required. All right, so we're going to stop this one here and we'll pick it up again later.